Oh no. Right, it's starting to run there, so... Hello everybody, welcome to number 27 from me, Jack, and from my fantastic big £900 Mercedes Barge S-Class, which is turning out to be way better than expected. So I had my quote from Merck last week. If you haven't had a look at that already, have a look at the video. That was basically, I think they quoted £5,000 to fix this car, not including the cosmetic stuff that I'm going to do today. Well, it's becoming a bit of a theme with the big Merc, but it's really good. I know it's disappointing, it's not great for YouTube, but I've taken out the wheel liner, had a look around, and it is really good. So this bit, for example, which on the car throttle Merc was completely gone through, is practically like new. There's a tiniest bit of surface rust, but it's fine. And everything else is amazingly good. There's a tiny bit, again, of surface rust just there. And I think that while I'm here, I'm just going to treat it, starting just from the bottoms, but there's hardly anything. And then the wheel arch itself really isn't that bad at all. So, I don't know, this is one of those cars, just keeps surprising in a good way, which is so rare. Now here's a few tools that I'm going to be using today. Let me just point down at them so you can see them. And let me just explain what I'm going to do with everything. So, obviously, I've got a grinder with various different wheels to just get it back to nice, good metal. Then I have various brushes and stuff like that, and there's the filler there. What you might be interested in is this. It isn't, in actual fact, pasta sauce. It is Pour 15. The original tin that I had it in, it just killed, so I had to put it into something else. So I've got a brush for that. Now this stuff is amazing. I've always found that rust treater, the stuff that you put on top of rust, does absolutely nothing. It turns the top sort of 1/8 of a millimeter into sort of into a black thing, but underneath, as soon as you scrape, there's still rust. So total waste of time. What this does, really, it's a hardcore paint, and it needs actually humidity to cure, but it is rock hard paint, and once it's cured, it makes an airtight seal, so that essentially the rust cannot get any oxygen, and so cannot keep on developing. Okay, Pour 15, that's that black stuff, which is terrible. If you get it on your hands or whatever, it just won't come off until your skin regenerates. But anyway, it's on there. The idea is, obviously, I've sort of, even on this, there is high build prime filler, well, high build primer, I'm trying to say. So the idea is that afterwards I'm going to skim over that, so that when I sand down to get it all smooth, it will still leave the Pour 15 intact underneath. That is the plan. Day 2, and quite a bit of progress made. So I've used, well, actually I've done quite a few layers now, really, because I'd scraped away so much paint. I used very thin bit of filler, and then I used some zinc oxide primer under that, and then I've used some high build undercoat, which I'm now just going to sort of sand down very slightly, but I think we're almost there. What's going to be really tricky though is that the top coat's going to go on okay, and I'm going to try and blend it in as much as possible. Then the clear coat, that needs to go probably up to about here. And here I have to try and blend it in, and there are blending thinners for that, which is a little spray can, the same as I haven't got it yet, I've ordered it. It's the same as spray paint, and once you spray the lacquer just on this bit where it's sort of meeting the other paint, you use the blending thinners. I've never done it before. I don't know if it's gonna work. So fingers crossed it doesn't look terrible. But like all these jobs, whenever you try and tackle any little bit of rust, cosmetic rust, it immediately turns into, like, you get mission creep, and it just goes so much further. So I mean, you know, there was a little bit there, there was a bit there, there was a bit there, a bit there, you know, and I'm ending up doing the whole thing basically. But yeah, I think it will be worth it. So let's see how it turns out. Still waiting for those blending thinners to arrive, but in the meantime I put the top coat on because I wanted to waterproof everything, and once I'd done that I saw there were a few imperfections showing through on the filler. So I sanded it back down, put some more high build primer on, sanded that back, and then put another top coat on, and it's now looking pretty good. In the meantime, before this put the clear coat on, so I'm waiting for those thinners, I'm going to polish up these headlights, which are really discoloured and pretty dirty, so I think that's the next job for now. They haven't come out quite as well as I was hoping, but not bad, and I also gave the grille a bit of a clean while I was at it, and the whole front end's looking a lot better. I think this car is going to clean up so well. Finally, the blending filler has arrived. Blending filler? The blending thinner has arrived. So this is the lacquer. Here's the panel. Now, I have already made several mistakes that I shouldn't have made. One of them is that I should have masked this whole thing off at the top here in the first place to try and stop the mission creep that's happened. So it's just gone a bit further than I wanted, all this paint, basically. The second thing is that I should have flattened off some of the paint before, above here, to give it a key for the lacquer and then for the branding fillers when it goes on. And lastly, this is not a perfect match, but there's nothing I can do about that. That's what they sent me from eBay, and I'm not gonna faff around buying loads of different paint. You know, it just has to look okay. Anyway, next step is one coat of lacquer, apparently, you put on. Then you put another coat of lacquer on quite quickly after, and then you you put the blending filler around it, and and that should be it. What are the chances that it will work properly? Hardly anything, I would say. Oh no. Right, it's starting to run there, so my god, it looks awful, which is where I sprayed the thinners, and I must have sprayed too much thinners, so at the moment it's looking like a complete dog's dinner. Okay, I've flattened it off, and I'm gonna have another go. First of all, a bit of base coat, then the clear coat, and then a lot less of those thinners. I didn't put much on though, so I'm amazed it had the effect it did, but still, let's see. So it hasn't quite worked out the way I was hoping. You can see the different shade, and also the clear coat it just doesn't look great. It definitely looks a lot better than it did before with the rust on it, so I'm not completely unhappy with it, and I think that a polish as well may bring up a bit more shine and make it look a bit better. So on the whole, I would say marks out of 10, maybe 6 for this job, and definitely that rust won't be coming back for a long time. There'll be other bits of the car that are going to be going rusty before that, but yeah, I was hoping it would come out a bit better. It's so hard to get the clear coat right. It's probably the hardest thing because you can't see where you're spraying it. Anyway, next thing quickly is these bits of the interior are absolutely disgusting. So I'm going to clean all that up, all the buttons, bits of the interior and stuff, and then we will have one last look round and see how much better it is. My God, it's so dirty. Just going somewhere a bit more open now so I can film the exterior of the car after the wash and the paint. The interior has come out pretty well actually. The stuff on the buttons and so on, I suspect it wasn't just sort of dirt, but actually maybe a rubber covering like Ferrari and Maserati used, because getting it off was quite difficult, and in one of the buttons it started getting the paint off actually. I had to use methylated spirits because white spirits wasn't touching it, wasn't making a dent on it. And so the interior is looking really good. The exterior of the car is definitely better. That horrible scabby rust is gone, but I'm not happy with what I did. I think after a polish it's going to look a bit better, but it will kind of do the job, but I was hoping it would come out a bit better than that really. Another couple of small wins are there was a gap on top of the boot lid there, and I thought maybe one of the arms was bent or something like that, but it turns out all it needed was a bit of adjustment, so that is now sorted. The glove box that used to open up, I found a pretty good way of just keeping it closed without using blue tack. The lock was broken, so I wasn't going to go doing any more mucking around than that. Now for next week, I think it's going to be really cool because I'm going to go down to Prestige Car Services in Southampton, and I'm going to try and sort out the quote that Mercedes gave me, which was for £5,000. I'm going to try and get that done for a fraction of the cost, and I'm pretty confident we can do that. Thank you all so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. If you need to contact me, Instagram is the best way. Really look forward to seeing you for the next one.